growing up as a little girl, my mom always had beautiful flower gardens, and I just have always loved lots of color and flowers.
Hello and welcome to the Handy Women YouTube channel. I'm your host, Geraldine Anello. I'm the founder of the Handy Women community on Facebook, which as of today is 46,000 members strong and growing fast. So make sure you join the community by clicking the link below. Here's the YouTube channel. Our mission at Handy Women is to empower women with tools, and to help us do just that today, I've got my guest, Wendy. Hey, Wendy.
Hi. How are you?
I am so excited for this because today we're going to talk about yard, and I love anything outdoors. I love having my feet on the grass. I love a good yard, so I cannot wait for you to tell me about it. What prompted you to do such a big project as changing your whole yard?
I find it a place for peace and relaxation, and it needed that. So that's why.
So what was before? And so we can judge the extent of changes you made.
Well, before, there was around the fire pit was like all grass. There was dirt everywhere in the planters. The grass needed a lot of help. This is actually a rental. My husband and I rent this house, but we've been here for 8 years, and it needed a lot of TLC. So you know what? I'm just like, if I'm going to be living here, I want it to make me feel good. So that's kind of where it all started. But it was pretty much a blank slate, dirt. It needed a lot of help.
Let's flip the camera over and let's take a look. So you said it was dirt everywhere. And did you use the yard at all or not at all?
No, we didn't use it that much. You know what I'm saying? Until we kind of got it fixed up. But yeah, around the fire pit, I put all these stones in because I'm like, well, who would have grass around the fire pit? You know? Actually,
the fire pit existed. You did not.
Yeah, the fire pit existed. And it's a little bit messy still over in this area because it's a work in progress over there.
I don't.
But so, lots of plants, and actually it's interesting. These 2 teak coaches my girlfriend gave me, and they looked like, they were like gray and like something you just throw out on the curb. And I ended up fixing or working on them to get them up to par. But yeah, all the planters, like I painted everything too. I painted all the brick. This had an old like barbecue in it, this little barbecue stand here. So I took that all out, and then I just put bricks on our little bricks on the top to kind of make it just like a little work area. And then all this jasmine I planted, like all these walls and all these planters were bare. And so I planted all that jasmine. Growing up as a little girl, my mom always had beautiful flower gardens, and I just have always loved lots of color and flowers always made me feel good. So, and then
and we have grass now. So from what you said, it used to be dirt, and now we have beautiful grass.
Exactly. Yep. So just, a lot of work, a lot of color, a lot of plants.
That looks amazing. So what came first? What order? I mean, this is obviously, you now have different areas. That grass, right. I know you mentioned you have the dogs now, so the grass doesn't look quite as shiny as it was when you
right. Well, I would say the first thing that I did the bricks around the pavers around the fire pit. I did that, and I painted all the.
Wait, so let's pause there. I want to know, how do you do that? Like, how do you just lay them down? How did you pick that kind of brick? What was that process like?
Okay, so the process is that you have to, I had to dig a bunch of this out because it was really high. So I had to dig a bunch of it out, and then you have to lay down, make it level. You have to lay down sand, and then you put the pavers down and kind of, just level them out around there. And then I had to.
What did you call it? Pavers?
Yeah, that's what they are. They're pavers.
Got it.
Yep. So, and then I had to cut some of them, like you can see right around here, right around the thing. And I'm like, okay. So I took a little chisel because I didn't have a saw or anything. So I took a little chisel and kind of chiseled it out to
How
do
long did
that.
that take with the chisel?
You know what? It doesn't take that long really, to do it. Because basically once you get started, you just get a little hammer and pop it. So,
So
so, you know, that's kind of,
how long would you say it took you to do all the cuts, to lay it down, to kind of get everything sorted out?
right. There wasn't, to tell you the truth, there's only like a couple cuts that I had to do because I pretty much made it so I didn't have to do any. I would say it probably took me, you know, a week off and on because I work too. So probably like a week off and on. But it was funny because we had these big sand piles here, and my pit bull, he was a puppy, and his brother, and they would just lay in the sand. It was so cute. But yeah, they make a mess. But yeah, so you know that was probably the beginning. Then it's like, okay, then I'm gonna paint the brick.
Wait, but one
And
last question. How did you get it all level? I know you touched on it briefly, but how did you end up? So you had to remove the height, but how did they all get leveled?
you know what? I just took and shoveled a shovel and just leveled it out that way.
I see. Got it.
Yeah, just shoveled out and made it level. I
And
wouldn't
then
say
you
it's
painted
perfect.
them.
Yeah, I painted all the fire pit and the because it was brown, and I did it like a gray. I did a like a light gray, and then I got a little bit darker gray and kind of did it to where it gives a little dimension. I don't know if you can see.
Oh, I love it.
So,
How long
yeah.
did it take to paint, and how many coats did you have to do?
Oh gosh.
Oh, there we go. That's where the work.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, it's been a long time because I did this like several years ago, like 5 years ago. I did that part. You know, again, it was just like a process. I just kind of worked my way, but I would say it probably took me a couple of days to do it. And coat wise, probably the initial coat, you know, like 2 coats, and then the darker to kind of give it a little more depth. That was pretty easy. Just kind of brushing that on. So, and yeah, so that was and then I planted some flowers and stuff, and then they kind of got neglected. And then I decided, okay, 2 years ago, I decided my daughter was getting married. We're having a lot of family in town. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I need to get the backyard looking good again. That's when I decided to tear out all the grass that there was in the backyard and resod and redo all the planters. And that was a process. Oh my gosh. I mean,
So wait,
I had like
did you have planters before and you changed them, or you just had some soil and some flowers?
no, the planters are always here. I changed out like what was inside the planters. I added some little trellises and some more jasmine to kind of go along the wall to, you know, kind of have more of a backdrop, and then some viney type of plants and just color.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And how hard is it to take out old grass? Is that like are the roots really deep? Do you have to like really go from? Oh, really?
Yes, it was a lot of work. I had like I don't know what they call it. Almost not like oh shoot, I know, you know, like the 7 dwarfs they have where they hit the stone, you know,
yes.
that
yeah, that thing like that.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. So I would use that to kind of dig up some of the roots and stuff and loosen it up. But my neighbor was putting sod in too across the street, and he had this device that you go along the top of the grass and it like skims off the grass, like the top layer.
Wow.
But
so you really go at it with muscle, right?
Yes. And then once I, you know, because there was a lot of roots and stuff. So once I did that, I rented a rototiller. And you would think, oh, you know, just rototills it up, but it was not that easy. It was a lot of work, a lot of muscle. It took me a while.
Like,
but
what kind of a while are we looking at? Are we looking at a few hours, or are we looking at a few weeks?
I'm looking at a couple weeks. a couple weeks of like from the beginning to probably getting it ready to sod. Yeah, it was definitely a lot of work. I don't know if I do it again.
Does it,
but
when you're done with it, does it look like a giant pile of soil?
yes,
And you
I
get
took a
rid,
bunch of pictures.
and you get rid of the old grass, right? You don't
Right.
use it as a fertilizer or anything. You get
Nope.
rid of it.
You get rid of it. Yep. You get rid of it. And then you got to level it out. That's the part that can take a while because you've got to level it all out. You got to get all the stones out. So it's going over it and over it and over it. And you're like, you think you're done, but you're not, you know? So once you get that done, then you prepare it for the sod.
Okay. And how does the sod work? How do you do that where you keep track of where things go? What is that process like?
So, you order your sod, you kind of go by your square footage. You figure out your square footage, you can have it delivered. That's the easiest way. So, that's the fun part, bringing it from the front yard to the backyard. But you got to make sure you keep it, wet. You got to water it down. And then you got to put your topsoil, get your topsoil on there. And then you just start rolling it out.
Wait, so topsoil. So the soil you ended up with does not work. You need to bring in new soil.
Yeah, you need to add some more nutrient. You kind of mix it in almost. It's kind of like a mixture of, a topsoil into soil that you have. So it's got more nutrients, that kind of stuff. And then level it all out again. And then that's when you start laying your sod. You got to make sure that you keep it nice and wet.
So you have to wet the soil first before you sod.
Yes, that's what I did, just so that it would, be nice and have a connection there.
And then distance to keep, is there, do you do row by row? How far apart are they? Or
yeah.
close?
That's what because they come in a certain size. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but you just put them down, just row by row. You go row by row. And then of course there's some areas where you've got to use the shovel to kind of shape it, if you got a rounded corner or whatever. And then you just, do that, just get the whole yard done and roll it out. And then you just, again, water. You got to make sure you keep it.
And how long does it take to grow?
You know what? It really only took like a couple weeks really to really see the growth on it. So, it looks so nice. You're kind of like, oh, I want to cut it, but, can't quite do it. So,
you cannot cut it at the beginning while it's growing.
Right. At least for a few weeks, you got to get it so it's nice and stable. And, so that's kind of, like I said, it's been a few years since I've done it.
And you mentioned you did that for your daughter's wedding. How much time ahead of the wedding did you start it so it was ready?
I started working on the yard probably, I would say, February. Her wedding was in July, and I think I started working on the yard in like end of February, beginning of March, because spring is like a good time. Here in California, it gets pretty hot in the summer, so February, March is like a good time to like get your grass in where it's not like crazy hot, and get it a good, get it started. So yeah, I would say from there. So
it's really beautiful. Why don't you switch the camera around so we can see you again? Is there anything you would do differently now that you know what you didn't know when you got started?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I do it again. It was a lot of hard backbreaking work. It really was. But no, I think the process, was pretty much what it would have been. I think the only thing is maybe not have someone else do it.
Maybe. So is there some of it you would still do yourself? It sounds like the hardest was taking
Oh
out
yeah.
the old grass. So is that the only
Right. No,
part
I'd still
about-
laying the sod. Like I think taking out the old grass, that was what I would probably have someone, because it's a lot of heavy work doing that. But no, laying the sod, that part was very kind of relaxing. You're just kind of chilling and going through doing your thing. Yeah, taking the grass out. That would
painting the
probably been.
brick, doing the planters, all of that was fine.
Oh no. Yeah, that totally, that I love doing that. And I love the process of seeing something that's nothing and going into something that's like, wow, a finished product. So that's satisfying for me.
If you're watching and you also did your yard, write in the comments if you also would hire someone to take over the old grass, and write what your process was like and what you learned and how it came out to redo your yard. This is fascinating. I mean, it looks beautiful, and I'm sure your
Thank
daughter
you.
was really happy for her wedding to have you go through such extent. I mean, what mother does that for their daughter's wedding? You know, usually it's like pick up a dress, try out cakes, and you're like, redo yard.
Well, she didn't actually get married here, but we had lots of relatives that were coming, and they were going to be spending time at my house for different events and get-togethers and barbecues. So I was like, okay, I need to make it look decent. So
it's a beautiful wedding gift. I love it. Well, thanks for showing us how you did it all, Wendy. Really appreciate it.
thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Like and subscribe below, and see you on the next time. Bye.
Bye.